First off, one of the primary mistakes that individuals make in planting a home garden, in any garden, is right up to big farming land, is we work the soil when it's too wet. If you dig into the soil, let's say you're going to use your little shovel or your spading fork, hand tool, you can ruin a soil with nothing but a wooden stick. If you dig into a soil and at the tip of your shovel you take that soil off and you can squeeze that soil into a little ball and it doesn't crumble with gentle tapping, then you're squeezing the air out of it. You're forcing the good aerobic soil digestion to die off and the anaerobic digestion to manifest itself. Has you ever walked across an agricultural field that's been worked when it's wet, which is extremely common? It's hard and crunchy, and it actually makes like you're walking on gravel, and if it's still freshly plowed and in big chunks, you have to be very careful that you don't fall over and break your ankle. And working the soil when it's too wet is a terrible mistake. On a small home garden, you probably cannot afford to actually grow 50-50. You probably have to base your carbonaceous resource resupply on recycled, composted waste stream material. And there's plenty of it out there. I observe all over where there's over there in Sonoma State Hospital, they have a little, about 1.5 mile of road with big oak trees growing alongside of the road. And of course in the fall, leaves fall. What do they do with the leaves? They rake them all up and they put them in their dump truck and they take them over to the edge of the creek and they throw them away. We, as a whole, waste about 35% or 40% of all of the foodstuffs that we have. But you recycle everything. One very good technique for immediate food resource without spending any money is kitchen scrap tea. You go in there and you made food for your family, your friends, and you had plate scrapings and you had potato peelings or whatever, leftover beef bones, I don't care what it is, whatever you serve to your crowd, you put all of that stuff in your biggest stock pot, simmer it up. Don't boil it too hard, just simmer it up a little bit. Put the lid on it, pick the pot up, take it outside, sit it on the picnic table, wrap a bath towel around it or something like that. Let it sit and cool down slowly overnight, and all of the solids will settle out, and you'll have a good, rich, clear broth. Drain that into your watering can, dilute it with water, and feed that to your garden. Wonderful soil biology food resource. And now you have the sludge. Get a little common textbook on vermiculture or how to grow worms. Extremely simple. And feed the sludge. The cooked sludge will be devoured so quickly by the worms, and soon you will have beautiful, fine, thoroughly digested, carbonaceous based, minerally enriched, if you mix in some raw crushed rock with it, compost to start your little seedlings and so on and so forth with. If you're going to grow a home garden or a commercial garden, you will of course have a budget. You have a budget, let's say it's $100. Why, I want you to spend $10 of that budget on genetic procurement. All seeds, all basic garden seeds are good, but if you go to the seed catalog, they'll open it up and they'll have big, beautiful colored pictures and they're advocating this one and that one. Way ridiculously expensive. You can buy carrots, such as I do, Danvers 126, Scarlet, Nantes, Royal Chantenay, I buy them in 50-pound bags, but in, let's say, 1-pound bags, $20 a pound. You can buy carrot seed that they sell it to by the seed count. Oh, and the seed you'll have to pay 2, sometimes 3 cents per seed for highly selected seeds. Absolutely ridiculous. Old-fashioned, common, open-pollinated genetics. You have this $100. I want you to buy all of your seeds with 10% of your gross gardening budget. And the most things, there's 2 things that give us the plant right before us. The phenotype, the individual, the crop that we're going to eat. The genetics is important, and all traditional genetics have been bred over thousands of years by love. The other element is the environmental support. Very important. Environmental support, nutritional support. Without nutritional support, without nutrients in the soil, without good digestion, there's absolutely no way that you can ever achieve and have full completeness. And what I would like you to do as a youngstress back there, grow plants that do have freedom from hunger and do have nutritional completeness and have that etheric sweetness, and feed that complete foodstuffs to your children. And if we were to do that, it takes about 3 generations to have an influence on the genetic character of a mammalian organism. And if we were to do that for 3 or 4 or 5 generations, perhaps our children's children could actually start being real human beings and operating within the capacities that we have, instead of functioning from our internalized hungers and manifesting greed and avarices of every imaginable kind, and knowing what to be, but living an entirely different shady life. No, grow that garden, use regular seeds. It's really no problem. And your other $90 of environmental support, you ought to make kitchen scrap tea. First off, I want you to save 25% of it. Don't spend the whole $100. Put 25% of it aside for security. When you do buy seeds, don't just buy the smallest pack of, I want to grow 2 zucchini plants. Buy enough zucchini seeds so that you can make mistakes and lose them and get another chance before the season is spent. Buy a big enough pack, not too much. Good seeds, average seeds, stored cool, dry, and dark. Most seeds, with the exception of very few, are viable and lose viability very slowly and are very good for many years. Starting the seeds, you need really good, full, charactered compost with good air-water relationship to it. So if you get that worm compost that I was talking about, thoroughly digested organic material, all of the mineral compounds, all of the carbonaceous structure is thoroughly digested, has great degree of organic molecular complexity to it, ready to be absorbed, and broadcast the seeds onto a seed flat. You have a flat 18 inches square, typical nursery flat, 2 inches deep, filled with full spectrum mineral nutrients, and you broadcast a few seeds on there, not so many that they become overcrowded immediately, but you broadcast, let's say, 100 seeds on that. For a home gardener, we'll just stick with 100. They will individually grow and germinate. They will send down a seeking or establishment root, boink, until it hits the bottom. And they know whether or not they've grown through soil that's going to meet their needs. And if the soil does meet their needs, why then, I've hit bottom. They send out branches. And a good media will grow a well-grown seed and seedling, and they won't compete with each other until they get too big for that space. They'll all grow, just like you guys aren't competing with each other. You all have relationship. You could start fighting each other or pushing each other, or some of you are touching each other a little bit, and it's probably not a problem, and some of you are giving yourself space. Same thing in a seed flat. Absolutely the same thing in independent respect until we became too crowded. And ask the plant. Somebody brought up soil testing or something. Ask the plant. Pay attention to the plant. You know how hard it is to pull a weed. Well, they have good anchorage. A weed grew there of choice. It has good anchorage. Anchorage is a very important characteristic of plant health, and balance and posture and color and taste and smell. Use your common senses, for God's sake. Pay attention. Really pay attention, and you don't need complex and expensive soil tests. And just pay attention. Posture, color, texture. Right over there, next door is a bunch of plants that student greenhouse seed grown plants, bok choys, broccolis, kales, onions, stuff like that. They're 4 inches tall, and they still have their cotyledons, and their seed leaves have actually grown and are bigger than when they sprouted. Well, that's an indication that the plant didn't need any of its history. A plant that has to withdraw nutrients from its old leaves in order to translocate it to its contemporary leaves, to its future, it's got nutritional shortfall. A plant that is being attacked and devoured by bugs or pests of any kind, well, it doesn't have environmental conditions to support life. And so bugs are actually like little Buddhist agents of mercy, putting the sick, weak plants out of their misery.